Thank you very much. We are very pleased to be here, and we will present to you our topic as we were introduced, employee well-being in the digital age. And who we are, my name is Milica Vukelic, as you can see, that's me. And the other author is my professor, Svetlana Čizmić. I'm assistant professor and Svetlana is full professor. We are coming from University of Belgrade, Faculty of Philosophy, Department of Psychology. We work within our laboratory for work psychology, and our main topic of interests are work stress, organizational behavior and change, well-being at work, work engagement, organizational change management, human resource management, organizational research, and consumer research. We are working organizational psychologists, and if you ask yourself now, what have work and organizational psychologists ever done for us and ever done for this world? We actually gave employees a break. In the 1920s, accidents and turnover in factories in UK were huge. And actually, occupational psychologists introduced 5 minutes tea break, and with this intervention, they actually introduced well-being at work. So employee well-being is an oldie but goldie in work and organizational psychology. And unfortunately, we usually discuss well-being post hoc after an intervention is already done, which could be all right if we have enough time to fix things. But today, with unexpected pace of technological development, we need to have more opportunities to communicate and to have mutual dialogue of engineers, human factor specialists, working organizational psychologists, employers, employees, and state representatives. We can ask ourselves together, are we making this world a better place to live in? What is employee well-being? Employee well-being is a state in which employees experience pleasant emotions that enable them to be completely engaged in work activities. What does it mean? Work engagement is a dynamic, rewarding, and emotional state of work-related well-being characterized by vigor, that means energy, dedication, and absorption. This is one of the most cited definitions of work engagement. How does it look like in Europe? These are the results from European Working Conditions Survey from 2015. And within that survey, you have World Health Organizational Well-Being Index. And this well-being index is calculated by integrating some indicators like positive mood, vitality, general interest. And this study is performed each 5 years in Europe. And you can see that the last one is from 2015. And you can see from this picture that actually well-being in Europe is high, but in Serbia it is lower than European average. When we study well-being in psychology, we usually have some empirical sustained models. And we use it for our research and analysis. Concerning this subject, we have 2 models. The first one is job demands resource model that is highly cited in work and organizational psychology and highly used for design of different research and intervention. And concerning this subject, well-being at work in digital age, we have this model which is called socio-technical systems. And I will present each model separately. So, concerning the first model, Concerning the first model, job demands resource model, we have two lines here. The first line is about job demands and how they produce strain at work. And the other line, green line, is about job resources and how they produce well-being at work. All that line produce actually organizational behavior like level of productivity and fluctuation. And what about these two lines? If you ask yourself what are job demands, the typical job demands are long working hours, work-life imbalance, unpleasant physical conditions at work, job insecurity, negative interpersonal relationships. And there are some jobs in which you that can't stop being demanding. For example, jobs in ER. But on the other hand, we have some job resources that we can add to those stressful job demands. What are job resources? Autonomy at work, flexibility. Autonomy at work means that actually someone has autonomy to make some decisions at work. Flexibility, organizational support, team support, task identity, pleasant working conditions, skill variety. So when we have some stressful jobs that we can't change, we can add them some resources. And we can ask ourselves how and do we provide enough job resources through digitalization. To sum up some key resources, some key job resources that produce well-being, these are competence, mastery, relatedness, having relation and support that comes from a team or organization, and also autonomy, feeling that one has choice for his job. We have studied this model in Serbia within our context, and it was shown that there was a significant and strong correlation between perceived organizational support and employee well-being. And this correlation is within psychology context and research very high. Also, we have studied whether and how increased workload affect people in educational context, and it was shown that it could lead to exhaustion. So we actually tested these two lines, and we have results that are very, very interesting. The other model concerning well-being at work is model which is called socio-technical systems, and it's about how introducing technological change into an organization could represent a serious demand for employees as well for an organization. Socio-technical system is a model which is about that people, technology, workplaces, and society interact as a part of a complex system. Optimization of one particular aspect of a system does not need to lead to increase in its efficiency. Efficiency may even decline due to the interdependence of each aspect of a system. This model is firstly introduced after a series of studies that dealt with the problem of the negative effects of introducing an automated, simple system for coal exploitation in English mines. Management expectation was that productivity would increase by introducing new technology, but contrary to some expectation, productivity declined. What actually introduction of new technology did, it ruined teamwork and it endangered employee autonomy and collaborative management. The essence of the mistake was in the rigid application of the factory management approach without taking into the account the employee's perspective and organizational and job design. It looked like this. Assembly line logic plus coal mine, and the result was awful. It is very easy for a technology-based intervention to become a job demand and not a resource if it is poorly managed. So we can ask ourselves, do we properly prepare organizations and society in general for technological interventions? We have the term productivity paradox in work and organizational psychology, and it occurs when some costly investments in technology do not impact productivity, as companies, for example, does not invest equally into staff training. So definitely new technologies are job resources. Social networks, as you all know, allowed business to crowdsource for ideas and to improve products and services. Digital technologies also enabled the employee to work in flexible and enjoyable workspaces with no geographical limits. Also, job teleworkability enabled a diverse population of workers to find and maintain jobs. It enabled what is called diversity management. Some 70% of employees across Europe are now engaged in telework slash ICT mobile work. Virtual teams and computer-mediated collaboration are indispensable characteristics of global and successful organizations. But on the other hand, new technologies represent job demands. According to the global study of McKinsey Global Institute, it was estimated that between 400 and 800 million employees might lose their job by 2030 because of the robotic automation. And now Europe has somewhere between that number of people. So all the Europe will lose the job. Employees working from home have fewer sick and personal leave days, fewer work breaks, they have less opportunities to socialize with their colleagues and could develop a feeling of isolation. Computer-mediated collaboration led to blurring the line between work and private life. Work became intensified with never-ending employee availability. You have now two quantitative diaries studied. The first one showed that extended work availability was related to lower physical well-being and fewer daily recovery experiences. The second one showed that, for example, smartphone use was negatively related to psychological detachment from work, leading to work-related exhaustion. European Agency for Safety and Health at Work highlighted some emerging occupational safety and health risks associated with digitalizations. Among these risks, there are more sedentary lifestyle, real-time human-machine interface that makes it difficult for workers to pause at work, the ability to work at any time that brought back to life some serious problems related to night work, such as cardiovascular diseases and even cancer. Also digitalized and algorithmic management methods that could result in workers having the perception of losing control over their work, easily accessible personal data that could endanger privacy, and digital addiction. There are also two emerging concepts in work and organizational psychology, and they are not good at all. One of them is technostress, and the another is workplace cyberbullying. Concerning technostress. It is provoked by pushing employees to work harder using ICT and by instilling a fear of losing a job as a result of emerging technologies. It is shown that technostress could lead to fatigue, to job conflicts, lower level of job satisfaction, weaker organizational commitment, and endangered well-being. Concerning workplace cyberbullying, it is similar to workplace bullying, but it is enacted by new technologies. The definition is that workplace cyberbullying is actually repetitive, long-lasting, or one-time, but highly disturbing negative behavior enacted by new technologies that leaves the target in a defenseless position. The examples of workplace cyberbullying are aggressively worded messages that contain false information, threatening messages, spreading negative rumors or gossips via new technology, personal information shared without your permission. We have researched workplace cyberbullying in Serbia, and we have shown that there were some 16% of cyberbullied employees at work. Also, we have shown that exposure to workplace cyberbullying had significant, moderate, and negative consequences on the employee well-being. But what's the good news? The good news is actually that we found that organizational support can act as a buffer between exposure to workplace cyberbullying and emotional well-being. So that means that actually organizational support could diminish negative effects of workplace cyberbullying on employee well-being. So what are our conclusions? Actually, mismanaged technological interventions could further contribute negatively to the already endangered decency of workers. Ignoring the need for joint optimization of technology and social and organizational context could lead to some irreparable harm for both the employees and the organizations. So our conclusion is actually that further research endeavors have to point to ways in which technology could be returned to the role of a personal resource. We definitely need to invest more in a collaborative decision-making process that will include all interested parties. And as Mr. Portokalos from my Fat Greek wedding said, some of us are apples, some of us are oranges, but we are all different, but in the end we are all fruits. So thank you very much.